Okay guys, today we're going to be going over the review. I'm going to try to go through it as fast as I can, but give you all the information you need to solve each problem. Alright, so on this first question, it wants us to find the coordinates of the x-intercept of the equation. So some of you guys might remember that the x-intercept is at the point where x is some number and y is 0. So to solve this equation, all we do is plug in 0 for y and we'll find our x-intercept. So I'm going to rewrite this: 2x minus 3y, which I'm plugging in 0, equals 8. Now we know that negative 3 times 0 will give me 0, so I'll have 2x minus 0 equals 8. This minus 0 will cancel out. It's not changing the equation. So we have 2x equals 8. Last step, we just divide by 2 on both sides, and we get x equals 4. And this isn't, I don't want to say x equals 4. I want you guys to think of what it actually is, because it's the x-intercept. So x-intercept equals 4. And it is at the point 4, 0. Once you understand what's going on, you really don't have to show all that work. If you know you're plugging in 0 for y to find the x-intercept, you know that this part of the equation will get canceled out. You'll get left with 2x equals 8. Divide by 2 on both sides, and you'll get that your x-intercept equals 4. For this problem, they just want us to find the x and y intercept. So we know that x-intercept is where it crosses the x-axis, and the y-intercept is where it crosses the y-axis. So it crosses the y-axis right here at the point 0, negative 3. That's the y-intercept. The x-intercept, like I said, is where it crosses the x-axis, and that's at the point negative 5, 0. Okay, this problem is the same as the one before. They just want us to find the x and y intercept of the function graph below. Okay, so I see the y-intercept, and it's at the point 0, 4. It's my y-axis, my x-axis. My x-intercept is I see right here at negative 2, and that point is negative 2, 0. For question 4, we're using the same kind of idea, x and y intercepts. See, my y-intercept is at 0, negative 3. And I see my x-intercept is at the point negative 9, 0. In question number 5, they just want us to find the slope and y-intercept of this given equation. So to find the slope and y-intercept, it would be best to put it in the slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. So to do this, we're going to have to isolate y by itself. So we want to move everything to the other side and get it as y equals mx plus b. Okay, so we can start by moving this 7x to the other side. This is positive 7x, so we'll get rid of it by subtracting 7x from both sides. When I subtract 7x, it'll cancel out this term, and I'll get left with this negative y equals, I'm going to go ahead and put this negative 7x in front, and then put this positive 11 behind it. Okay, next I have negative y and I just want y. So to get rid of the negative, you can think of this as negative 1y. I'm going to divide by negative 1. I'm going to go ahead and distribute it to each term, because what I do on one side I have to do on both sides. Okay, that will cancel out these negatives, and I'll get left with y equals negative 7 divided by negative 1 will just be 7x, and then positive 11 divided by negative 1 will turn into negative 11. So now I can see my m, which is my slope, is 7, and my b, which is my negative 11, that's my y-intercept. Question 6 is just like question 5. We're still trying to find the slope and the y-intercept. So we're going to do that the same way. We're going to isolate y. So we're going to start by subtracting 3x from both sides. That will cancel out this term here. We still have this negative 4y equals, I'm going to go ahead and put this negative 3x in front, and then the positive 12 behind it. Alright, last step from here is to cancel out that negative 4. So we're going to do the opposite. Instead of it being multiplied by y, we're going to divide it. That will cancel out that negative 4. We get left with y equals, since we have a double negative here, this will just turn into positive 3/4. And this last term, 12 divided by negative 4, will give us negative 3. Alright, so I see my slope is 3/4. And my y-intercept is negative 3. Alright, so question 7, not doing anything different. I went ahead and put some of the work on here already. Subtract 4x from both sides. Cancels out this term. We still have this 2y that comes down. I went ahead and put that negative 4x in front, this positive 10 behind it, and then from here just divide by 2. We get left with y equals negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2x, 10 divided by 2 gives us 5. So our slope is negative 2, our y-intercept is 5. Question 8, we're doing pretty much the same thing. The only thing that's changed on this one is the way they wrote our equation, but we still want to put it in the form y equals mx plus b so we can see our slope and our y-intercept. So we know we want to isolate y, get it by itself. So I'm going to start by getting rid of this 2x, which is positive, so I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides. Now you know on the last few problems I always said I wanted to put this negative 2x in front, so I'm going to go ahead and keep it in front over here, and this will make more sense in a minute. But I had the negative 2x and then this positive 15 I just put behind it, and now I have that it's equal to this negative 3y. Okay, from here I still want to get y by itself, so I want to get rid of this negative 3, so I'm going to divide by negative 3. Okay, by doing that I canceled out that negative 3, so I just have y equals on this side. Negative 2 divided by negative 3 will just give me positive 2/3 x, because we have a double negative, it'll turn positive. And then 15 divided by negative 3 will give me minus 5. So I want you to look down here. Usually we want y equals mx plus b. The only thing that's different here is our y is behind it. We still have mx plus b, so it doesn't matter that the y is in front. If we wanted, we could just rewrite it and put it in the front and take it off the back. But this is still our slope and our y-intercept. So our y-intercept is negative 5, and our slope is 2/3. For question 9, we're going to use the same idea we did in question 1. We're going to find the x-intercept and the y-intercept. and we're going to use the idea that the x-intercept is at the point where y equals 0. So to find the x-intercept, we're going to plug in 0 for y. When we do this, we'll get 2x plus 3 times 0 equals 6. This 3 times 0 will kind of cancel out. We'll end up with plus 0. So what we'll be left with is 2x equals 6 divided by 2. And we get our x-intercept equals 3. Doing the same for the y-intercept now, we're going to plug in 0 for x because we know the y-intercept is at the point where x equals 0. Alright, so rewriting our equation, we have 2x, which we're plugging in 0, plus 3y equals 6. Like I said before, this 2 times 0, I'll go ahead and write it in this time, will give us 0. 0 plus 3y equals 6. Since it's 0, it's really not changing the equation, so we could just take it out. Last step here is just divide by 3. So we get the y-intercept equals 2. I meant to put intercept here. Alright, so now it wants us to graph this. We know our x-intercept is 3, so it's at the point 3, 0. Our y-intercept is at the point 0, 2. So now to graph this, we just plot these 2 points. So our x-intercept is at 3. So we go over 3. This is our x-intercept. Our y-intercept is at the point 0, 2. So now we can make our line. So the line would go through these 2 points. That's how we would graph it. Okay, on this problem we're trying to do the same as we did on the question before this. We're trying to find the x and y intercept. So as we did before, the x-intercept is at the point where x is some number and y is 0. So we're going to plug in 0 for y. And when we do that, that cancels out this term. Okay, and we get left with this 10x is equal to negative 10. The last step here is just hit divide by 10 because we want to do the opposite. Right now it's x times 10, so if we divide by 10 it will cancel it out. Okay, and then negative 10 divided by 10, it gives us negative 1. So our x-intercept is at the point negative 1, comma 0. Alright, for our y-intercept, we're doing the same thing, except now we're plugging in 0 for x to find the y-intercept. So I plugged in 0 for x here. That term got canceled out. I had 10y equals negative 10. Alright, so I divided both of these by 10 to get y by itself. So negative 10 divided by 10, our y-intercept was also negative 1. So that means that our y-intercept is at the point 0, negative 1. So now to plot these, go into my x-intercept, it's at negative 1, 0, make my point. My y-intercept is at 0, negative 1, so plot that point. Now I can make my line. So it's going through these 2 points. Okay, going the other way also. Okay, for question 11, it wants us to write a equation in slope-intercept form of the line that passes through the point 4, negative 1 and has a slope of 3. Okay, so with this information we have a point and we have a slope. So immediately you should be thinking of point-slope form. Alright, so over here I went ahead and wrote down point-slope form for us. And it is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Alright, so we're going to plug in our point and our slope. When we plug in our point, our x value is 4. So for x1, I'm going to plug in 4. Our y value here is -1. So for y1, I'm going to plug in -1. When I rewrite this equation, I didn't plug in m yet, but I'll go ahead and put it down here below. I'm going to rewrite our equation with our point in there. Y minus -1 will turn into y plus 1. And then we have x minus x1, which is just x minus 4. The next step here is to distribute this 3. That means we're going to multiply 3 times x and then 3 times -4. So this left side, we're not changing it yet. It's going to stay as y plus 1. This right side, 3 times x gives us 3x. 3 times -4 gives us -12. Last step here is just to subtract 1 from both sides. And we get y equals 3x. 12 minus 1 gives us -13. Okay, so what we have here is an equation in slope-intercept form that goes through the point 4, -1 and has a slope of 3. So this is our answer. Alright, on question of 12, it wants us to write an equation in slope-intercept form of a line that passes through these two given points. So you can think of this as x1 and y1. We know we can find the slope between these 2 points by using the slope formula. Alright, so plugging this in, y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1, you'll get your slope is -2/3. Now that we have a slope, we can use a point. We can use point slope form, plug all that in, solve it, and you'll get your equation is y equals -2/3 x and plus 4/3. Okay, you would do the point slope form just like we did in the question before this. Okay, so now I'm going to show you guys how to do this problem using the calculator. We're going to find the slope-intercept form using the 2 points, just plugging it into our calculator. So first you want to go to stat, or before you do that you want to turn it on. You're going to go to stat, you're going to hit enter to go into edit, and you're going to enter your first point, which is -8, enter. And now L1, you can think of that as your x value, L2 is your y, so I'm going to hit to the right to put in my y value, which is 4. Enter. Okay, I'm going to go back to the left to put in my next x value, which is 4. Enter. And go to the right, and now put in my y value, which is -4. So this is how you should have your 2 points entered. My first point and my second point. Alright, so now you're going to hit stat again. You're going to go to calculate by hitting to the right. And then here you can press 4 or scroll down to 4. Hit enter. And once you have this on your screen, you hit enter one more time. And it will give you the slope-intercept form. Okay, so it tells us the slope, which is in this case is a, and it says -0.66666. That, if you don't know how to turn that into a fraction, or if you don't know what fraction that is, you can just type it in, -point, and then repeating 6. Now I'm going to hit math, and it's already, fraction is already selected, so you hit enter twice, once, twice, and it'll tell you what that fraction equals. For the y-intercept, it says -1.3 repeating, so I can find out what fraction that is also. -1.3 repeating. I hit math, enter twice, and it tells me that fraction is -4/3. So you guys can also solve these using the calculator. My slope is -2/3, and my y-intercept is -4/3. Alright, number 13 says your cell phone plan charges you 3 cents to send a text message and 6 cents to receive a text message. Okay, so already we see we're going to get charged 3 cents to send a text message and 6 cents to receive a text message. Okay, you plan to spend no more than $5, so no more than $5 a month on text messaging. Write an equation in standard form that models the possible combinations of sent text messages and received text messages. So I went ahead and wrote standard form down here below for us. It's ax plus by equals c. So it wants our equation in this form. So we need to assign variables to our text messages that we send and to what we receive. So we're going to say we're going to send X amount of text messages, and we're going to receive Y amount of text messages. Okay, we plan to spend no more than $5, so what we spend has to be less than or equal to $5. Okay, so let me start writing it, and I think it'll make more sense. So it's going to charge us 3 cents to send a text message, and we already said we're going to send X amount. Okay, now we have to add this 6 cents per text message that we receive. It's going to charge us 6 cents for each one that we receive, and we said we're going to have Y amount of those. Alright, now what this total cost, or whatever we get charged, we want it to be no more than, or we want it to be less than or equal to $5. So this is how we would write our equation, which is really an inequality. 3 cents per text message we send plus 6 cents per text message we receive, and we want to spend no more than $5. Alright, question 14 is very similar to question 13. It wants us to write another equation in standard form. So let's read what it says. It says a basketball team scored 92 points. So they scored 92 points. It's not saying they scored less than or at least or at most. They're saying they scored 92. So what they scored was equal to 92 points. Okay. Field goals are 2 points, which I guess are any shots that are not from the 3-point line. Field goals, so we'll say those are our X, 2 points for each of those. And free throws are 1 point. So each of these, we'll say however many of those we get, they're 1 point each. So now we can write our equation. So we get 2 points per each field goal plus 1 point per each free throw. Since we just have one Y, we can rewrite this and leave it as just Y. So we can say 2x plus 1y is the same as just saying y equals 92. So this is how we could write our equation in standard form. Question 15 wants us to write an equation in slope-intercept form of a line parallel to y equals negative 2/3 x minus 2, which goes through the point 1, 3. Keyword here is parallel. So parallel means they will have the same slope. So this equation in slope-intercept form that we're looking for is going to have the slope of negative 2/3. So we can fill that in. It's going to have a slope of 2/3, and it's going to go through the point 1, 3. Alright, so now we have a point, we have a slope. So you guys should know we can use point-slope form to find our equation in slope-intercept form. Okay, so point-slope form, we're going to plug in our values. So we have y minus my y1. So let me label these. This is my x1, my y1. Y minus 3 equals, my slope is negative 2/3 x minus x1, which my x1 is just 1. Alright, next I have to distribute this negative 2/3 into the parentheses. So when I do this, the left side stays unchanged. I'm not doing anything over there yet, so it stays the same. When I multiply negative 2/3 times x, I get negative 2/3 x. When I multiply negative 2/3 times negative 1, I am going to have a double negative, so this is going to turn into positive. And since I'm multiplying it times 1, it's going to stay the same. It's going to stay 2/3. Alright, next I need to add 3 to both sides because I want to cancel out this negative 3. Okay, so this is going to cancel out. I'm going to get left with y on the left hand side equals negative 2/3 x. Now 3 plus 2/3, if you solve it as a decimal, you'll get 11/3. Or you could put it, or as a fraction it's 11/3. If you put it as a decimal, you'll get 3.6 repeating. And this is your answer. This equation here is in slope-intercept form, and it is parallel to this equation because it has the same slope and it goes through this point. Number 16 says, write an equation in slope-intercept form of a line that passes through the point -3, -1 and is parallel to this equation here. Alright, so we see one of our keywords, just parallel. That means that this line that we're looking for, or this equation that we're looking for in slope-intercept form, is going to be parallel to this one, so it's going to have the same slope. So you guys remember, parallel, they have the same slope. Alright, but the problem is we don't know what the slope of this equation is. We need to rewrite it in slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b, so we can see what the slope is. Okay, so we can start by subtracting 4x from both sides. What we're trying to do is get y by itself, so we can see what our slope is, y equals mx plus b. So we're going to start by subtracting 4x. This cancels that term out, and we get left with negative y equals, I'm going to go ahead and put this term right here in front, this negative 4x, and put it in front. So negative 4x, and then this positive 3 I'm going to put behind, positive 3. Alright, last step right here is I want to cancel out this negative sign, and we could do this by dividing by -1. And what we do on one side, we do on the other side. I'm going to go ahead and distribute this to both terms. Alright, so that will cancel out this negative, and I get left with y equals -4 divided by -1 gives me 4x, and then 3 divided by -1 gives me -3. Alright, so now I can see my slope, and my slope is 4, so I can write it. My slope is 4, and it needs to go through the point -1, -3. So -1, -3. Alright, so now you should know that we're going to use point slope form. So plugging in our values, this is my x1 and my y1. I have y minus y1, which is -3, equals my slope, which is 4, x minus my x1, which is -1. Alright, I see that I have a double negative here, so this just turns into positive. So y plus 3. Over here also I have a double negative, so this also turns into a positive. So pretty much anytime you're using point slope form, if your point values are negative, when you plug them in, it's going to turn it into a positive. So right here we have y plus 3 equals 4 times x plus 1. The next step here is to distribute this 4 inside the parentheses. So when we do this, the left side is going to stay unchanged. We haven't done anything over there. What we're doing is multiplying 4 times x, which gives us 4x. And then 4 times 1 gives us positive 4. The last step is to cancel out this 3 here. So we can do that by subtracting 3 from both sides. That will cancel out this term and leave us with y equals 4x. 4 minus 3 gives us plus 1. So this is our answer. This equation here is parallel to this equation because they have the same slope and it goes through this point.